All right, welcome everyone. Hope everyone's doing good, staying home and staying healthy.
Yep.
I'm,
Hi.
I'm Tony, plant-based eating program manager with Animal Protection of New Mexico.
I'm Mickey. I live with him, and all that.
Just co-facilitating.
Yes.
You're gonna see who's really the expert in certain areas because we're gonna do some hands-on stuff tonight.
Yep.
So it's gonna show. So we've got a really fun topic tonight. I'm really excited. We're just gonna spend an hour talking about sweets and treats.
Yeah.
How is that not super fun?
Yeah.
Right?
Quick reminder that we are at home with our 2 children and dog, and this is live. So, our kids are sequestered with their games and, Netflix and whatnot, but the dog is out and about, so fair warning.
So we may have an issue, and if we do, please bear with us. But we've been doing our best as we stay home and try to stay healthy.
Yeah. So,
So we're gonna kind of just do a overview of what we're gonna talk about tonight. We do have, like I said, some hands-on stuff. It's gonna be fun. Hopefully you got your sweet tooth ready, right?
mhm.
And all right. So the overview tonight. First, we're just going to we're gonna start with some breakfast sweets because why not? And these are some that you can have for breakfast and feel not so bad about it because they just have a little bit of sugar. And then there's some that are kind of like having dessert for breakfast. So let's just be real.
Let's be real.
So yeah, we're gonna do some good breakfast sweets. Then we're going to demonstrate the Danish.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're going to get into some cakes, cookies, and pies, and talk all about that. We're going to talk about nice cream and ice cream, and then talk about some treats that are accidentally vegan, which is a nice bonus.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got lots more in store. We got another hands-on thing we're gonna do
A little bit later.
and show you some fun stuff. So, yeah, keep some surprises.
Yeah.
We want to start with a few disclaimers. So we're definitely not doctors or dietitians. I am a health educator. I have a degree in health education, but we're not giving you medical advice or anything like that. Clearly, with some of the foods we're going to go into, based on our overview, you can assume this isn't a health class.
Yep.
With that said, we just want to acknowledge that everybody comes at this for different reasons and is in different places.
Mm-hmm.
So you could see there's 2 types of vegans. The first one asks, is this food item vegan?
That is literally made of chemicals.
Okay, but
Vegan chemical type thing.
no, vegan one is
Yeah.
just making. I don't care what I'm eating. I just want it to
Is
be
it
vegan.
Yeah.
Like I'm not worried about if it's chemicals or healthy or whatever. I just don't want to harm animals, or I want my food to be environmentally friendly, or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's vegan too, who's like, I want to eat healthy food,
Right.
whole foods and stuff like that. So we might have some vegan 1s in the crowd, we might have some vegan 2s in the crowd. I myself am 50-50.
He's like vegan 1.5.
I'm vegan 1.5.
Sometimes 2.5.
What does that even mean? Sometimes,
no.
yes, sometimes I just want whole foods and nothing but,
Yeah.
and sometimes I don't have a care in the world.
Yeah.
And it varies
It's a
by day.
pendulum for some people.
Yeah.
And so just FYI, not everything here is going to be healthy.
Yeah, so we're gonna share some splurgy type of foods
Yeah.
that you can decide how and where they fit into your diet or not.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna try and share some healthier some
Ideas?
options on the healthy side. Sorry, options on the healthier side. And like I said, some of them are kind of not too terrible. So you could just make your judgment. Feel free to ask questions. We are monitoring the chat section, the comment section. So feel free to ask questions in the chat and we'll answer them as we go along.
Mm-hmm.
Or we can do some Q&A at the very end.
Yep.
Either way. So definitely feel free to chat it up in there. All right?
So this first one are sort of staples that we tend to keep in the house all the time, and you can actually make quite a bit from this. So you'll see there's flour, powdered sugar, cocoa powder or cacao powder, some maple syrup. You could even go with regular sugar and chocolate chips. And sometimes I try to not buy these things, thinking like, okay, it's try to eat a little better, but they just always make their way back into the house. And we have some sweet teeth that live here, and it is what it is. But you can make some pretty decently healthier choices with some of these items too. So,
and especially during these times, you might find that you want a sweet treat and you don't want to leave the house, or you can't leave the house. And having these staples, you can do a lot with just these. We're going to reference these ingredients a lot throughout the night. So, we just wanted to share those kind of up front. You can do a lot with just those staples.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to start with breakfast sweets. And you can see we feel like a lot of these... Okay, Mickey's going to step off to grab some ingredients. So we feel like these pair well with sausage links, as you can see from our pictures. Sometimes they go good with fruit as well. And the first one we're going to talk about is cinnamon roll bites. These are, Mickey gives me the green light to just choose what I want. Cinnamon roll bites is always what I go with.
Often.
I just love the texture. They're like crunchy on the outside, they're fluffy on the inside, and they're so easy. So we have a recipe on our website, apnm.org/plant-based, for fluffy biscuits, and we use that recipe as a base for lots of other things. So you could use that recipe as it is and just make biscuits, or you could use that recipe and roll it into balls and roll it in a mixture of cinnamon sugar. So you just pour sugar in a bowl, add cinnamon to your liking, roll it in there, you bake it, and then you drizzle it with a glaze. We're going to demonstrate how to make that glaze in just a second, because we use that for another recipe that we do. But that's literally it. You add the glaze after you bake them, and easy.
Yeah, and so just the other day I made a variation of this, and it came out really, really delicious. And it's the bottom picture, and those are actually apple cinnamon roll bites. And all I did was I took one apple that, when you have that apple that's kind of been sitting around and it's not crisp anymore, maybe it's starting to get a little wrinkle. Sometimes that random apple gets left in our cabinet. Excuse me. And so I just took that apple and I cut it up into little bite-sized chunks, and I mixed it into the batter. And then I made the same thing just rolled them up the same way I did regularly. So that's a variation, and it came out really, really well. I added cinnamon to the dry ingredients as well, and it was a nice variation. I was pleasantly surprised at how good it came out.
And I usually think I don't want fruit in my baked goods, but then Mickey will have a great idea like that, and I almost never complain.
Yeah.
So that was awesome.
It usually pays off.
Yeah, so that's a really good sweetening the biscuit recipe.
Yeah,
so it's just whatever cinnamon sugar and glaze you put on top. You could go light with that, so it's just like a...
And I think we've done it without the glaze before too, because we've been out of powdered sugar, and it was still yummy.
It's still good.
So this is a variation where you can control the sugar a little bit.
Yeah, so definitely a staple in our house, and a good, breakfast. One we're gonna demonstrate. We actually made these ones earlier today, or
a little bit ago,
evening.
Yeah. And so this is just the plain cheese Danish. So we will show you how to do that. And so you see there's some big ones and some small ones. And we start with just maybe let's make us big.
Okay. So yeah, you can see, we'll come back to the slide and you can reference it also. But I'm going to make our screen a little bit bigger for this demonstration part. And I just want to say, these taste like the Danish you get in the gas stations, like back in the day, right?
Yeah.
something about those cheese danishes, and we recreated them at home.
Yeah, I randomly found this recipe and it turned out really delicious. So,
And
we
it's
have this
really
spoon, please.
easy to do. So
So-
she's gonna make some right now. So like she said, started with some Pillsbury.
So I just got the regular
Crescent
Pillsbury
rolls?
crescent roll dough. And I think the one at Sprouts is accidentally vegan. Trader Joe's. There's plenty. You don't have to do Pillsbury. And so we're just going to open it up like so. And there's a couple ways that you can do this. To make the mini ones like we did, the little ones, if you want some, Tony, you can help me and do one. You will just let me move this off to the side. We kind of did it like this, where we just still roll it up like a crescent roll. But as you roll, you kind of spread like you did with the Play-Doh when you were a kid and you made a snake. And you just kind of keep going out.
This is kind of the way I like to do it because I don't know how to do all this fancy work that Mickey's going to show you in a minute. And sometimes it just stresses me out to try to figure it out. So we figured out an easy way that I can do.
And it makes the mini ones, which is kind of fun too.
And we were looking at pictures of old ones that we've done. And I was like, yeah, those are the ones I made because they're not that pretty, but they taste delicious.
So then once you get sort of a nice long strip, and you might still have a little pocket that's kind of big, that's fine. You just kind of roll it up like that. And you can kind of pull it to stretch it out. That's fine. And you just roll around. And you want to kind of tuck that one under. And you end up like that. Now you need a spot, an indent for your cream cheese filling. And this is where you kind of lose the pretty on these ones because you kind of want to go in and spread it out a little bit. So these ones don't turn out quite as pretty as the bigger ones, but that's how you make it. Ends up being like a little bowl. Okay. All right. Now with this one, the perforations you'll pinch shut. And so you're making two, and that's why it's a little bit bigger. And there's a couple of ways you can do this. Tony really likes the big ones, so I'm going to show you the ones that I just did today. Can I have the pizza cutter? And I just use the pizza cutter because it's easy for me. And I cut it in half, not all the way through, and then in thirds, or two more, so you get 3 on each. And then I take 2 and I twist them together. And you just do a little twisty and a pinch on the end to keep them. And some twisty and twisty. And then I braid these 3. However, I'm doing it kind of backwards than the way I did it before. But you just braid it and then you pinch together and you kind of crunch up the side. And I like to stretch it a little bit. And then you do the same thing where you kind of roll it in together. And pinch on the side. So it kind of looks like the Danish maybe you grew up with, right? So
much prettier than my version.
yeah. So there's that. So Tony will, while I do the others, maybe you can fill with the cream cheese. Right here.
And I made the filling earlier, so that's why it's just in this bowl. It's really easy. The recipe's on the slide that we're going to show in a second. But basically I just used a whole package of the Tofutti cream cheese, mixed in a little sugar, some vanilla, and lemon juice. And then just mix it, just kind of, and then you just spoon some in the middle there. And this filling that we're using, it's actually, I tasted it just by itself. It could be a really good like fruit dip.
Yes.
If you want to just like, we could serve it with some sliced apples or fresh pineapple. That would be super yummy.
Yeah, it's a really good fruit dip. It's a good, easy thing to take to potlucks.
Yes.
Now, if you want filling, like some of the flavored danishes, apple and stuff, you can get just pie filling. So Tony's gonna, which way do I turn? There you go. And we just got the whoops. Tony's gonna open that up and just add some cherry pie filling.
I can't decide which are my favorite, the plain cheese or the cherry. I really don't know. So I like to have one of each.
Yeah. And you see, it's not taking us very long. Even didn't take me very long to make that one. And so out of a regular can with 8, you can either get 8 minis or 4 bigger ones. So it's like choose your own party. And I actually forgot about these. Tony remembered them when he was going through my Instagram for this class, and I was like, oh yeah, those were delicious. So
why don't we make those more often?
yeah. Our hands are clean.
And we're really sorry that you can't be here in person
Taste
to taste it.
I
Normally
know.
when we do these classes, part of the experience is tasting them. Sadly, not right now. But the good thing is these are so easy to make, and you can get all the ingredients at virtually
Pretty
any
easily,
store.
Yeah.
The cream cheese, sometimes you have to find it at, you can't just find it at any Walmart per
Right.
se, but Sprouts has it. You can get it, Natural Grocers, Whole Foods, kind of any store like that.
You want to add the pie?
We just kind of spooned it on top, right?
I think we did.
I don't remember exactly.
Maybe try to plop it in. Troubleshooting live. All right.
It's really, you can't really mess these up.
I don't think
Let's
you
be
can
real.
either. I don't think there's a mess up.
Function of these.
Yeah.
Because with these fillings too, a little goes a long way.
Right. And if we do find at the end that it's overflown, then my suggestion would be to either try to make it a little bigger, the whole
The
part,
pocket,
the
mhm.
pocket part, or do half cheese, half filling
Yeah.
in the pocket.
Yeah.
Do you want to do more cherry or no?
Let's do one more cherry.
Yeah, the big one. Let's be real.
Looks good.
All right, so the oven is preheated. We will go pop these in. I'll just
Okay. Mickey's gonna go pop
I'm gonna
those
go
in the
pop
oven.
those in. Take
while
a look.
I make the glaze that we're gonna drizzle on top of them once they're done baking. So once these are done baking, we're gonna drizzle a glaze over them, which is nothing more than powdered sugar and almond milk. Super easy to make this glaze too. I had a little bit left over in the bowl from the ones we made earlier. But basically, like the recipe says, you start with about a half cup of powdered sugar, and then you want to add your milk about half a teaspoon at a time. And I am going to measure the milk just because it's easy to overdo it. A little bit goes a long way. And if you add too much milk, then you have to add a whole lot more powdered sugar to offset it. So I said earlier, it's kind of like adding black paint to white paint to make gray. You usually have a bowl of white paint and you put just a tiny little drop of black, and it goes a long way. So you kind of just add the almond milk a drop at a time. So this is too thick. You want it, it's going to be a little, it's going to look a little thicker than you think it should. I think so anyway. I always think it looks too thick, but then when I start drizzling it on, it's perfect. When I first started making it, I would make it too thin and then have to add like a whole bag of powdered sugar to offset it. It was not very fun. See, this is pretty close to how we want it, right? There's a little, maybe a little thick. So I'm going to add like a tiny splash more of almond milk. And just mix it there. And perfect.
I think so.
Yep. So we're just going to let this sit until those Danish are done, about 15 minutes.
Mhm.
We're going to pull them out and then we'll drizzle them. And then those will be ready to go. You can use any plant-based milk. Like I said, we did almond milk. That seems to work really good. So why, try something different?
Yeah.
I'm sure any
It's
milk
always
would do,
worked for
but that's
us.
just what's always worked. So that's what I always reach for when it's.
I don't think that's closing
Have to
right,
do.
but that's okay.
You definitely want it to. Don't want one of the children to knock it over.
Yes.
And by children, I mean dog.
All right.
All right, that was fun. So we got the Danish in the oven. That fast, that easy, that quick. You can have some really good cheese Danish that are worthy of a coffee shop.
All right.
Right?
Yeah.
So
They only take about 15 minutes, so I'll get up again and get them out and let them cool for a little bit. And then we'll do the drizzle and show you the final product.
and we're gonna do the drizzle for shizzle. Sorry.
Couldn't resist.
I don't know. All right. So yeah, like we said, most crescent rolls that you can find in the store are accidentally vegan, which is awesome. And you can do. We've done lots of things with the crescent rolls. Like for example, these Danish. We've also sometimes Mickey will just chop apples and put a apple slice inside the crescent before you roll it up,
Mhm.
and then roll it up inside that. Sprinkle some cinnamon sugar on top, and then you have.
I do it on the inside.
Oh, you do it on the
Yeah,
inside.
I do the cinnamon
That's
sugar
right.
or brown sugar, kind of whatever I have, in the center with the apple, and then you just roll it up and then kind of like cover the whole apple as you roll it up, and then put it in the oven 12, 15 minutes, and it's a really good little apple treat.
Really good.
Yeah.
So there's that. Like we mentioned, the tofutti sour cream. There's lots of other types of sour creams you can do. And most pie fillings are plant-based or vegan naturally. You can find some that are a little bit lower sugar. This one that we used is the Duncan Hines Simply Cherry. So it doesn't really have like corn syrup. It's just
It
sugar
just
in
has,
it.
yeah, cherries, water, sugar, cornstarch, lemon juice, and salt.
And it has a little less sugar than the
Yeah.
other one, so you can kind of find different, varying types.
Yep.
I really like the flavor of this one too. So,
All right.
cool. Moving on. The full recipe's on that link. Like we said, if you want these slides or if you want us to send you the links, just shoot me an email. The email will be at the end of the presentation, or you can reach out via Facebook or any other way, but we can definitely send that to you. So the next one is
Donuts. This is using our fluffy biscuit base
Again.
and this actually I just made last weekend. I randomly was like, well, what the last time we went shopping, in preparation for all this, Tony was like, man, I haven't had powdered donuts in ages. And thinking about like comfort foods and treats and stuff, like that might have been nice. And I randomly was like, I wonder if I can make mini donuts with our biscuit base. And so I tried it, and this is how it came out. And it came out really well. And I just used our regular fluffy biscuit base. I didn't do anything to it. And then I just took off a chunk, rolled it out into a snake like the Play-Doh, and made the little twisty to make the donut shape. And sometimes they would fluff up and you'd lose the hole. So you really, if you want the donut shape, you need to leave it so where the hole looks bigger than you think it should be. because then when it bakes up, it does that. And then we did it in the air fryer, and 3 or 4 minutes was enough. And we think you can fry them. I didn't try frying them, but I think frying them could work and be pretty tasty. My suggestion is to add a little sweetener to the dough. It was really good like this, because then after it's done, you just coat it in powdered sugar, and that's it. It was pretty easy. But I think it'll take it up to the next level. It'll take it up a notch if there's a little sweetener in the dough beforehand. And I think start with just a tablespoon and see how that does you. Right. But it was really tasty.
Yeah, and the boys really liked them too.
Yeah.
All right, time for a coffee break. In case you didn't join our last class that we did, I just wanted to add this slide in here because the last three recipes we talked about, you need coffee on the side of them. Let's be real. Need coffee on the side. So I just wanted to share some of my favorite coffee creamers. You could see there. The Silk Original creamer is the top notch. It was sold out at Sprouts today, and I got really sad.
He did.
It was really sad.
He was.
But yeah, the Trader Joe's soy is another favorite of mine. The Silk Sweetened Creamy Almond creamer is really good when you want a sweetened one. Those three are kind of our go-tos, and then there's some other good ones there. Mm-hmm. Yep. So had to include the coffee break.
He did.
All right, let's move on.
Desserts in a mug are something, I don't remember the first time I heard about them. It was probably a couple years ago. And I randomly remember them because I'm like, I just want a little something. And I don't want to like pull everything out and make this. I don't want to make, 2 dozen cookies or whatever. So, dessert in a mug. So this peanut butter chocolate cake in a mug. The regular cake in the mug. I like the cake in the mug because that's just like sprinkles. It's like vanilla cake with sprinkles and it's really tasty. Brownie in a mug and cinnamon roll in a mug. All 4 of these we can vouch for.
Yes.
There are also cookie in a mug, like any kind of cookie you can think of, snickerdoodle, all of it, peanut butter, all of it in a mug. So you can think of your, like, one of your favorite kinds of snacks and just add in a mug, add vegan and in a mug and Google it and you'll come up with something. But these 4 are tried and true in this house.
Yeah, sometimes you find one and then it doesn't work out as well as you thought it would, or you want to adjust it somehow. Mm-hmm. But these are our favorite ones, our go-tos.
Yeah. And I find that for my regular, how big is my main coffee cup? I think it's only like
16 ounces.
It's 16
or 12.
I think it's 12 because it's pretty small. Maybe we should grab it. But it's pretty small, and I find that these in a mug recipes that use 4 tablespoons overflow in the mug that I typically cook it in. So if it calls for 4, like the cake in a mug does, I usually cut it in half, and it's still a good size for my mug, and it does the trick. So you'll have to play around for you if the 4 tablespoon recipes are too much, or if it works. So yeah, so this is the main mug that I don't know. I think it's 12 ounces. It's more than I think.
I just measured it. It's 12. For some odd reason, I was picturing another mug. Don't ask me why. But that one is 12 ounces.
So this is the one that I typically make it in, and I find that anything that calls for 4 tablespoons of flour overflows in my mug. So FYI, that if you have this size mug, you might want to just try a 2 tablespoon recipe.
Yeah, or if it's 4, cut it in half.
Cut it in half, yeah.
But they've been a godsend, especially again during these times.
Yeah.
When if you can't leave the house or you don't want to, and you really want a really good treat, sometimes you just want cake. Yeah,
and I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes these are nice for breakfast. Because if you look at this peanut butter chocolate cake in a mug, it's kind of like a pancake.
It's pretty much a pancake.
It's pretty much a pancake in a mug, with like, it's a chocolate chip pancake in a mug. So, just a thought.
Yeah. They're really fun.
And they're easy if you kind of leave it out because you just put it in the microwave and it takes a minute in the microwave. Kids can make it too. So,
yeah.
That's another nice thing.
And how fun for kids. Mm-hmm. So you can all just make your own brownie in a mug. And then, have your movie night or whatever.
Yeah.
So, those are really fun. We wanted to share those because they're a good go-to for us. All right. Next, let's talk about cakes.
Cakes.
We have a couple variations of cakes. And I wanted to start with one that's kind of one of my favorites because it's so good.
And it's so easy.
B, it's so easy. C, you don't even have to bake it. So anyone, our kids can make it very simply. And we've done this many times and nobody ever complains about it.
This has been requested for birthdays at birthday parties. So I've made huge pans of it and it's always a hit.
And so all you do is take a bunch of Oreos, you get a cup of milk, you get a pan out, you dunk the Oreos in the soy milk, you lay them out,
you lay
in
a
single
layer, yep.
You put a layer of Cool Whip.
And repeat.
Do it again. However many layers you want.
Yep.
You can drizzle some chocolate syrup on
Afterwards.
top.
After.
Chocolate sauce.
Yeah.
On top after it's done. But yeah, you put it in the fridge, let it set, you're done.
The end. Yeah.
And
so good.
Just explaining how to make it, you can tell how amazing it is. I don't even have to say anything.
And we refer to it as Oreo bomb cake because it's the bomb. Somebody was like, "This is the bomb," and it's an Oreo bomb cake, and it just stuck. But
when I was trying to find the recipe, I was like, "I can't find Oreo bomb cake. How come?" And then she told me technically it's called Oreo
icebox.
I was like, I don't even know.
He's like, no.
That's weird. It's Oreo bomb cake.
And then to make a vegan chocolate sauce, you could just do equal parts maple syrup to cocoa powder, and that's a good chocolate sauce.
Yep. So those were two of the ingredients in the slide at the beginning that go a long way. You can make chocolate sauce, and put it on anything. You could do chocolate dipped strawberries with it, chocolate dipped bananas.
On ice cream.
You can drizzle it on
pancakes.
anything you want to drizzle it on. And it's literally just maple syrup and cocoa powder.
Yeah.
Super fun. All right. So I'm making cakes kind of if you want to actually make a real cake, I guess. There's this good recipe at this website that we can vouch for. I've actually made it, and it worked and came out good, and I didn't need any help. And it was because baking is not my forte. I'm gonna say that, but this worked out for me. I made it for a coworker one time, and just topped it with a store-bought frosting, and everyone loved it, and it went really well.
And these Pillsbury frostings are all accidentally vegan. These three for sure.
More
Definitely
bonuses.
Check the labels when you get into the store. I think their strawberry one is also, but their vanilla is. And I haven't gotten into making my own frosting, and I don't know, maybe one day I will. But for now, I'm going to make a step easy for me and just use these because, they're tasty. And they pair well with these cakes too. So.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
So that's what we recommend. The recipe's easy. It just uses vinegar.
Yeah, it's just got a little bit of vinegar and baking soda.
Replacement of the egg, and that makes it rise. Good to go. So that's our recommendation on that. Store-bought cakes. Whole Foods usually has a good variety. If you haven't tried those, we definitely recommend those. And then cheesecakes. The Daya brand are really good.
Really good.
And I've had some picky friends say they're good as well.
Yeah.
So I think I feel really confident that those will satisfy pretty much anyone. There's varieties. They do pumpkin, key lime, which is my favorite.
Chocolate.
I think strawberry.
I think there's a strawberry.
Or you could just get the vanilla and then put your own topping.
You could do cherry topping on it.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, cookies. We like cookies in this house also. So of course, I lost my. Whole Foods has some that the bakery that they make as well. Trader Joe's has some vegan cookies. Costco carries this little red pinky tub in the center there, and like a big one. That's a nice hit.
That is a buy because that's not expensive at all.
It's a good buy for Costco because I think the little container at Whole Foods is like $5 or $6, and that giant container at Costco is like $10. And
it's less than 10.
Oh, is it like $8? It's like maybe it's like $8.
It's like $8.
It's like $8.
And it makes 96 cookies.
Yeah, well, it's supposed to make.
If you make cookies, but it's vegan.
It is.
And so you can eat the cookie dough raw if you just want a bite of cookie dough.
Yes.
Because cookie dough.
Okay. That beeped. I'm gonna go take it out while you continue.
Okay. So yeah, those cookies, we recommend those. There's a good chocolate chip cookie recipe linked there, and those are my favorite cookies. I kind of forgot about them because we've been spoiled with the Costco cookie dough lately and haven't made cookies from scratch. And then when Mickey reminded me of that, I said, I was like, yeah, those are so good. We're going to have to make them again really soon. So, and then pies. So this pictured all the way on the right, that's a homemade pie that Mickey made for me when I was really craving cherry pie one day. And I really wanted a crust from scratch. And she loves me so much that she made it, and she did the lattice topping like I wanted. And it's so glorious, and it's a really fond memory of mine. But the crust is actually really easy to make. It's called No Fuss Pie Crust, and she just used that recipe, and it's 2 ingredients, I think, maybe 3 ingredients, butter and flour. It's so easy to
I
make.
think I've done whole wheat with it too.
And that one was whole wheat because that's what I wanted, whole wheat, because sometimes I'm picky. And so she did whole wheat flour and butter, vegan butter, of course, and it was really good. And then any cherry pie filling, or you could make a filling from scratch, which would be fine too. And then there's lots of pies in the stores that are accidentally vegan as well. So like the frozen Marie Callender's, they're super sugary and super all of that, but they're vegan. So that's an option. Those are really huge pies, and again, they're not that expensive. They can serve at least 16 people, if not more, a good serving of pie. So kind of those are our recommendations for pies. Just make an easy crust, and then moving on. Should I move on, or are you ready to show those? Are we ready
No,
to
let's let them
drizzle?
cool a minute.
Okay, we're gonna let those cool a minute. Then we're gonna do our drizzle
What's
and
next?
keep going.
Though?
So we're on pies right now. So next we have ice cream, which I think talked about. We demo how to make it, but basically you put frozen bananas in a blender, add whatever flavorings you want, and go. The recipe up there, this is my recipe when I make ice cream for the 4 of us. So it makes a good serving for 4 good sized servings.
Yeah.
And as you can see, it's literally just bananas, cocoa powder, maple syrup, peanut butter, and soy milk. You can do a little less soy milk. If you have a high-powered blender, you can do less soy milk and just turn your blender up super high.
Yeah.
You
And
could
it'll be
do
thicker.
shaky consistency, but that's kind of the basic go-to recipe that we do, and never fails us.
And as you see, we like chocolate sauce on our ice cream. And we learned a trick, and we're going to try it. We haven't yet, but you can add a little bit of coconut oil to the chocolate sauce to make like chocolate shell, the magic shell stuff.
Yeah, we actually tried that in the demo video.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And it's top notch, so definitely recommend that. Whatever you want to add to it. There's the ice cream.
And then I don't know.
Heavy whipping cream. Yeah, we can maybe try that in the future. There's a new heavy whipping cream from Silk.
Oh yes.
That's that soy creamy ice cream, and it's a fraction of the price compared to the So Delicious and Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah, and they have a vanilla also.
And they do, so it's a bigger bucket
Size,
or
yeah.
whatever for like $3.50. So last part. So what we've always done is we just go to Trader Joe's and buy a whole box of bananas. We just buy literally 100 bananas at a time.
Yeah.
It's a giant box, gallon-sized bags.
Our kids eat a bunch first,
First
but then they get the nice little brown spots where you know there's good sugar there, and then we peel them and we freeze them either in bags. But we have the freezer space for it, so. But it's so worth it because whenever, especially now that like as a breakfast either, gosh, I sound so terrible.
As long as if it's mostly bananas,
I'm winning. But yeah, it's bananas.
It's basically
like,
a smoothie.
It's a good.
Yeah, so if you have the freezer space, that's worth it because then anytime you have a hankering, anytime you have a craving, you can just make
I have caramel sauces with like dates. You just soak dates. And then you blend it up to make a sauce, and that's your like caramel sauce, and it was really good.
Oh yeah, you made it. Trust me. Once upon a time, we should do that again.
We should do that again.
All right, so moving on, I just wanted to bring that up.
Homemade candy
Oh, here's
bars.
some fun stuff. So, do you want to go throw the?
Yeah. So a bag of this, and we pre-made the Crunch Bar for you.
And those Mega Chunk brand are
Crunch Bar also.
All right, so let's do the glaze on these. A little bit thinner than this on the and that drizzle. Cherry ones look good. That one's gonna have extra icing because I got a little heavy-handed there. But yeah, it's up to you. You could go as light or as heavy as you want on this. All right, just easy as that. These are all drizzled up. All right. This is one of the we missed some of the candy bars that we're used to having. So we like to make homemade Crunch bars, and we like to make homemade Mr. Good bars pretty often. There's also on our slide we'll show how to make homemade Butterfingers. But these are kind of our go-to. So this is just our homemade Crunch bar, which all we did was melt those chocolate chunks and mixed in some Rice Krispies cereal, which I had back here. It is. Yeah, we just mixed in some Rice Krispies cereal. And I really just eyeball it till it has a good consistency. We used half that bag of half of the chocolate chip bag, and then I threw in maybe like a cup and a half of cereal, and then we put it in this you want to put it in a shallow dish, so and then we popped it in the fridge. It's been in the fridge. This has been in the fridge for about an hour.
Yeah.
And now we have a giant Crunch bar that's just my Crunch bar, right?
No.
No. So we're gonna cut it up into smaller bars. And you can do them however you want. You could do this way, you could do little was with our portion control. As long as we don't eat.
So for that, I started with that half bag and I did 60. You just take your peanuts, and we often
Pour them in.
pour. You can never decide how much you want, because sometimes with the Mr. Good bars it seems like. Then we set up, use a muffin tin, and we have these silicone plops on, and so just do that. Maybe less, like I want a sweet treat. And then I think so.
And so like you saw, they might not look very big there, but one is enough.
Yeah,
it's enough.
It's
a treat.
satisfying. Yeah. It's enough to be satisfying. So, okay.
Easy peasy. We'll just pop those in the fridge, and those will be ready in no time.
Yep. All right. And it's just chocolate chips, and then bag of chocolate chips, and melted some chocolate chips and put it in the frog, and it was a good time. The kids loved it. Every kid went home with a chocolate frog.
Yeah, super fun. So if you have the candy bar filling,
yep,
right?
They're really good too.
Yes.
It's a good treat.
Yeah, but it's really simple.
The piece says to do it, but I use the muffin tin for that too. I put a little bit of chocolate. I don't, because it looks like they make a ball and coat it or something. That's messy.
You can just a note on some accidentally vegan treats if you want to treat. Your varieties of Girl Scout cookies are vegan, depending on what region you're in. For vegan, they'll probably know, but Thin Mints are always a go-to.
The California Girl Scout bakery, some extra good cookies.
When we were there, we spent entirely too much money on Girl Scout cookies. Definitely look into it. So, for example, these fudge striped cookies, those for like a camping trip or something. And then now,
yeah, they are a camping, and the fudge graham crackers.
Yeah,
too. Yeah,
and of course Oreos, vanilla wafers. There's lots of accidentally vegan treats out there. So
sometimes it's just,
for example, Halloween candies that are accidentally vegan. They have a whole list.
How to make these, because for Halloween I was like, but I want chocolate. The parent tax I always took so maybe that's coming.
Maybe you could bake good stuff at home. Or you can buy amazing stuff locally. mini bundt
Bundt
cakes
yeah,
for our
treat
anniversary.
boxes.
It was just that because it was so
It was
good.
really good. I'm not that big of a tiramisu fan. Tony is, and even I was like, "Wow, this is really good." I wish there were 2 in here.
Call or text your order in. You have to get it in kind of early because sometimes they do. Also, Tracy's Baked Goods.
Good
Tracy's
stuff.
Baked. I think if you email her, she might be doing
Like
vegan food that you could get on Grubhub. And I ate Vagos one time recently, and those are really good.
Yeah, they reminded me of the round ones that you get at the grocery store. I don't remember what they're called, but we used to get them a lot.
And those, yeah.
And that's what it reminded me of. So it was a nice little throwback surprise. For
Very
me.
nice. And Vagos is good too. They're not just a baker. They don't do baked goods, but they have Wanderlust is doing treat boxes and other stuff before. It's really good. Cards or the market there, but now so they're still operating just
those
some
cannolis. Let us know how those are, because next time Tony's in Santa Fe.
Yeah, we actually have not tried them. Their Instagram or their website, the pictures speak for themselves.
Yes.
So we just wanted to shout out some doing more live streaming classes, more webinars coming up. And treats class was a request from our last class.
Yep.
So that's why we chose this topic.
Yep.
We're into whatever you're interested in, right?
Yep.
So cool. There's that. If you want to chat for questions, there's a little bit of a delay.
So
We do.
of Mr. Good bars first, and then I was like, ooh, Crunch bars. I forgot about those. I really liked them. So
See, it looks really easy.
The other sweet treat, and I usually only make it at the holidays, that we really like, we call them Muddy Buddies, and it's the Chex Mix coated in, and that's nice because it's only a few ingredients also.
Yeah. The recipe is on the box of Chego.
Maybe a little butter. So it's a few more
And butter,
ingredients
yeah.
than like the tradition is to, and it's usually like chips and French onion dip that we make. A fun treat.
Yeah.
So.
And really easy to make too. Yeah, mine froze. But you're interested in
Feel free to
eating?
text or email Tony with any questions or comments or requests. Definitely check out AP&M's recipe site, and stay safe.